Good morning, everybody. I'm about to go get started on a hike. I'm not sure if I should bring my trekking poles or not. I'm planning on staying pretty local. I am gonna pull my hair up though. Hold that thought, guys. Okay, that's better. And so I've decided to just bring my trekking poles, but I've attached them to my bag with a carabiner just in case I feel like I need them, you know. Yeah, so we'll do that. Do you like my sweatshirt? Alligator Alcatraz. I got it from the Mark Dice website. If you haven't heard of Mark Dice, he's an interesting character. He's definitely not afraid of public opinion. And he's also a pretty prolific author, all about political stuff. Okay, well, let's enjoy the scenery instead of getting caught up in world events. Let's enjoy the nature that the Lord has provided us. And I say that while walking up a concrete road, or no, paved road rather. By the way, it is 10:22 Wednesday morning, September, it's September 10th. This is Sumeg State Park in California, Trinidad, California. That noise is coming from my little bear bell. Okay, I made it a little quieter by sticking it in my pocket. Oh, black bears. It's a good thing I've got a bear bell and a Berna. Oh. And this right here is the Sumeg Village area that the state park was renamed for after being called Patrick's Point State Park for quite a long time. And the Yurok tribe, who calls this area their homeland, was able to argue quite legitimately that God, I've got something in my eye. that maybe the state park should not actually be named after someone that literally killed one of their tribal members and then fled the area to avoid repercussions. And that's valid. That's valid. So gosh, I was here a couple of years ago, and there was quite a large group of young Yurok men and their tribal elder doing maintenance on this area. And they have here some kind of an assembly area. I have strong doubts that this is actually how they built assembly areas, or that they even did. But what do I know? I'm not Yurok. Ooh, look at that cute little flower. In any case, they've clearly got a gopher problem. Lots of gophers. Oh. And somebody left their garbage. And, you know, I think it's sort of ridiculous sometimes just how much we as a nation have to cater to literally every freaking minority, you know? Even people that didn't come here legally, we have to cater to them. I don't agree with that. That's why I'm wearing an alligator Alcatraz sweatshirt. Because I completely agree that people that don't come here legally should not be able to milk the system that has been set up for people that have paid into that system. You know? It's not okay. And the fact that they've been allowed to is why we have so many people coming here illegally and then refusing to leave. Because, well, if you could just get free money till the end of time, wouldn't you? I guess. Oh, God, I keep rounding back to that. Maybe I shouldn't have worn a politically themed sweatshirt today. Okay. Here we go. Let's try this again. Do you guys want to see the native plant garden? I think I see an A-frame up there saying it's closed. Maybe it's closed. I don't know. Yeah, it looks like it's closed, but let's check what the sign says. Yep, it says temporarily closed. Mushroom. I forgot my coffee back at camp. I meant to bring it and sip. Darn it. Is it going to be all cold by the time I get back? It was boiling hot before I left. Okay. I'll wander back real quick and get more coffee again. Or rather, get my cup. And this one time I came here and I parked my car in the parking lot right here. And I went into the visitor center. When I came back out, I kid you not, there was a garden gnome parked in the parking lot just a couple slots over from where I was parked. A literal garden gnome, or at least it was an old man dressed like a garden gnome, complete with long hair. The pointed hat and the blue shirt. It was hilarious. It was so funny. This garden gnome dude driving his convertible, a gold convertible that I had to take a picture. Oh, okay. They are closed. They say they will be back at 10, but it is 10:30. Well, I will go get my coffee and come back. Let's see. Okay, it does keep going off to the side. Okay. Oh, I didn't leave the lid up. Still nice and hot. Okay. Well, Okay. So, campsite 24. I'm not going to go in because there are people there, but so there's clearly an area for a tent over there, and the bear box is over there. It looks like they've got 4 structures up, so it's a fairly sizable campsite, not that far away from the water spigot. Over here at campsite 123, it seems like there's enough room for a vehicle, 2 vehicles, and a structure there and over there, in theory. Not really a campsite that would be friendly towards hammock camping, from what I could tell. Campsite 122 has people here. Fairly long walk up to the campsite itself. I can't tell how much room there is in there. Maybe enough room for 2 vehicles in the driveway. I'm really not sure. That was 122. And here's 121, my campsite. The driveway is wide enough for 2 vehicles. And in my opinion, there's really only enough room for 1 structure. just because of the tree roots issue. There's like one good level area, and that's where my tent is. But it is also very level where my tent is. Yeah. So there's mine. And this is campsite 120. It is definitely not friendly to hammock camping. And there's enough room for maybe 2 structures, unless you also use the very wide driveway area. But one of the structures would not be very level, I don't think. Yeah, if I remember right, when I camped at this site a few years ago, I set up my tent exactly where they have theirs set up. That was campsite 120. And here we have campsite number 119. They have not shown up, so I'm gonna go all the way back in and do a actual review. Their driveway is pretty long, but yeah, there wouldn't be enough room for vehicles to park abreast of each other. They'd have to park behind and stuff. So there's room for one structure there. This area right here, there's tree roots and it is not level. And with this one, I might be wrong, but honestly, this has the look to me of an area that puddles when it rains. Oh, hey. Quarters. They're mine now. Although, I don't know. Maybe it's a bad idea to pick up strange stuff. You never know if somebody put drugs on it. I guess I'll find out soon if I was drugged. I guess. Okay. So that is 118. It looks like it's pretty level back there, with room, as far as I can tell, for at least 3 structures. Of course, you know, maybe I'm just not seeing things correctly.
Hi.
Hello. And from another angle, I can definitely say there's room for at least 3 structures at 118. Okay, so 116 is closed. But if they ever open it up, it's got a decently sized driveway, but the driveway is sort of shared with 117. They have a bear locker and a fire pit and room for 1 structure if it's a big tent like mine. Anyways, yeah. at 117. Gosh, I had the best encounter with a little chipmunk over there. Yeah, it's a nice site. It's not very level though, except for one area. Okay, and here we are at number 115. Pretty long driveway here. It does not look like the campsite itself is particularly level. I'm not sure where the heck a person would set up their tent. Because over here, there's tree roots and stuff. You know, even right there. So this would not be a good spot unless you have a cot, I guess. In theory, there's room for 2 small structures, but I've got my doubts because it's really not a level campsite. I would not camp here if I had a choice. Although I guess you could set up your tent at the end of the driveway because it's nice and level. Well, I can't really see into 114. It looks like they're setting up to leave. So maybe I'll be able to check it out later. Okay, this one is number 113, and it looks like there's a good level area back there for a structure. And clearly there's enough room for a trailer and a vehicle to park. Okay, 112. Oh, let's do 111 here. Huh. So, 111 has probably enough room for 2 vehicles to park abreast. And I can see back there that there's 2 structures set up, but I'm not going to go into somebody's campsite, so I have no idea how level it is or if there are tree roots. It does seem like it's got a lot of privacy though, which is probably pretty nice. This is number 112. And it's got a pretty level area for a tent right there, which it's always nice when your tent area is farther away from your fire pit. But part of the fire pit is missing. There's no grill. Oh. And the bear locker is also broken. This is number 112. There's probably enough room for another structure right here, too, in front. Okay, so that was 111 and 112, and it looks like 110 that we're coming up to right now does have a available marker on it, maybe. Well, It says reserved, but they're not allowed to check in for a couple of more hours. So, this is it. This is it. Wow. Okay. That's it. I mean, it looks pretty level and no tree roots that I can see. Enough room for 2 cars to park abreast, or a trailer with their tow vehicle. So that was 110. This is 109B. And what you see is what you get with this one as well. Just like number 110, the whole lot is graveled and pretty level, in fact. It's pretty level. Oh. Okay, so the other one must have been 109C, since I was just at 109B. And this is 110. It's got a very long driveway, pretty small camping area as far as I can tell. I don't think from, the trees and stuff nearby, they're not so close. There's probably a root problem or anything, but there's this very small area for a tent, and it is not hammock friendly. So here is 109A. Okay, so I guess there's room for a tent here, except it's really not level right there. A person would probably be more likely to put their tent here, just because of it being more level, unless they had small tents. But the ground here is very much not level. So I would not camp at this one if I had a choice, because there's really nowhere to easily set up your tent on level ground. .108 is occupied. Wow, they brought a canoe. Okay. They've got 2 structures up there. That's cool. Huh. It says available, but there's people there. Okay, so 107. This is number 107. And, okay. This right here would be a decent area for your tent. I mean, yes, there's a little bit of a descent down. After you set up your tent, but that's fine. I think that while this is closed for plant rehabilitation, oh, there's a slug. Probably this area right in front of it, a person could set up their tent. It's just really not particularly level ground. It's nice that the bear locker is close to the picnic table, but the picnic table is not in good condition. The what you call it. This area does seem to be pretty level, the driveway. Maybe they're leaving? I don't know. That was 106. Okay, at 105, it is close enough to the ocean that you could listen to the ocean all night, which is a beautiful thing, you know? So there's the bear locker and the picnic table. Huh. And in theory, you could set up a couple of tents back, one here and another one over here. And then you have a shortcut to get down to the trail to the beach. That's cool. Huh. I mean, the spots for the tents aren't the most level, but I've seen a lot worse. You know, I've seen a lot worse. For sure. In theory, you could even set up a hammock between that tree and that one there. I'd camp at this one, for sure. Yeah. 105 looks like a good one, in my opinion. Yeah. I'll have to keep 105 in mind. Seems sort of like my ideal camp spot, to be honest. Okay. I think that these cabins are all disabled accessible, I think. Let's check. And I believe they've all got electricity too. Yeah, they're all disabled accessible. Very cool. And, okay, they've got kitchen area, bunk beds. Floor looks pretty nice. And they've got blinds that you can close so that you have a little bit of privacy. So, looks like there's 2 sets of bunk beds in there. Cool. I believe there are 5 cabins here. Maybe there's only 4. There was one. This was number 2. Cabin 102, or rather Site 102. That's the 3rd cabin. Site 101. Okay, they only have 4 cabins, not 5 like I had projected, but they're all wheelchair accessible. So that's cool. Okay, so here is site number 100. There's nobody here, so I'm gonna check it out. This one to me is looking pretty good. There's not a lot of level ground over here because of all the root system. But you know, it's definitely friendly to hammocks. And there's a very wide area right here that is really nice and level and pretty big, so you could put in a big tent and then have a couple hammocks back behind it. That's nice. So that was number 100. There was a chipmunk that just ran across the road. How cute. Okay. Number 99. So I did have a neighbor say that this one was actually their favorite campsite because while it's really small, and there's only enough room for one, maybe two tents. Probably two if you set up a hammock. This one's definitely friendly to hammocks. I guess you can get out there pretty close to the cliff and enjoy the view. That's what the gentleman I talked to earlier was saying. Number 98. Definitely a good one for hammock camping. There's not a ton of roots sticking up in the ground to trip you up, so you've got room for like 2 or 3 large structures, you know, and that's pretty nice. Plus you've got room to set up a hammock. You know, you could have a large family gathering over here so long as you don't have more than 2 vehicles, you know. I mean, there's enough room for probably 4 vehicles to park abreast, but the park does have rules on how many vehicles are allowed. I think it's 2 per campsite, but I might be wrong. There is an extra vehicle fee. I think, if I remember right, it's $10 per vehicle. Look, there is a little flower. One little flower. This is a blackberry bramble, and there's straight up still blackberry blossoms. Well, number 97 isn't occupied, or it is occupied, so I won't walk in. But it looks to me like it's pretty level, not a lot of tree roots going on over there, but there is over on the south end of it. I think that there's room for at least 2 structures. Number 96 is not level, and there might be room for 1 structure at most. I wouldn't camp there because of the slope, if I had a choice anyways. Number 95. Well, they're not here yet. So, this one looks like a pretty nice one. It's not the most level. There might be some trip hazards, but there's a decent tent pad over here, and with the trees and stuff, it's definitely friendly for hammock camping, although from what I can gather, there's really only enough room for one structure right here in this large pad, because everywhere else it's just really not the most level. There's lots of little pits and valleys and some tree roots. The picnic table is concrete with wooden benches. That's pretty darn sturdy. That's nice. So, number 95 looks like a good one. I'd camp there. Okay, so the lovely ladies camped at number 94, which is a disabled campsite. They said 95 didn't leak at all when it rained the other day. So I'm not going to review 94 because it's disabled. It's really level though. It looks like a nice campsite. So number 93, obviously not hammock friendly. Bunch of dips and valleys. So it's not super level, but I mean, there's enough room for at least 3 structures, I'd say, maybe 4 if you put one up on the other side of the bear locker. But check this out. There's landscaping fabric over the top of the frickin' picnic table. I bet it was growing moss. The picnic table at my site, number 121, is growing moss. A lot of moss. And there is no campground host right now. This restroom here is the one that has the showers. Oh, this one is another one of the disabled campsites. It's really level. It doesn't look like there's room for very many structures like was at that other one. 91 is also disabled. Pretty big and lots of level area. You know, the disabled spaces tend to be the most level. So, what number is that one right there? Number 90. Well, they're due out tomorrow, but it looks like there's enough room back there for 1, maybe 2 structures if they're small. And I don't think it's friendly for hammock camping. I don't see a way to set up a hammock on that one. That was number 90. Number 89. Does not look level at all. Lots of pits and valleys, and I don't see where a person would set up their tent at all. Good thing that person doesn't seem to have one. Number 88. Where the heck do they even set up their tent for in number 88? I don't see it. I've got no idea. Maybe on that dirt pad right there. Yeah. You know, that looks pretty level. Looks like a decent campsite. Number 87. This one is a drive-through, you know, so there's room for like 3 or 4 vehicles here, or if you have 2 vehicles that each have a camper, there's enough room for that, you know, which, I mean, that's cool. It does not look to me like there's anywhere good to set up just an actual tent, because there's lots of pits and valleys and gophers. Number 86. I camped here with my son the very first time that I ever camped here. He had a tent and I had a tent. Yeah, there's lots of pits and valleys over here because of the gophers, and there was a bunny rabbit that just went into the bush right there. And I don't know that I would set up a hammock right there, even though that's a good distance for hammocks, just because of all of the tree roots, and you know, if you accidentally go out the wrong way, you might stab yourself in the bushes somehow. To be honest, the most impressive thing about camping here at number 86, when I camped here with my son, was being able to come right out from my kitchen table right there. And come out to this bench and enjoy this view. Morning.
Good morning.
And it is a really spectacular view. Great place to just hang out and enjoy your morning cup of coffee, for sure. So those were campsites number 86 all the way to 124. Not really including anything that was actually occupied, or the disabled campsites. Oh, you can see the lagoon off in the distance right there. I really can't help but wonder if these land bridges are man-made or not, but there's, gosh, each of these peninsulas out here seems to have a land bridge between it, which is really cool. Wonders of creation. Unless, of course, those were man-made. Which, you know, then it's the ingenuity of man. Well, I'm gonna head back the same way I came and see if anywhere that was marked as unoccupied has finally emptied out, even though they were supposed to be gone. Well, I mean, I guess in theory they've got another 20 minutes to mosey along. You know, sometimes they give extra time. Sometimes they let people move in early if the campsite is ready for them. I'm going to go back the same way I came, though, and see if I can review some of those other campsites. One thing that I will definitely say about this park is the bathrooms severely need an update. The only refurbished or updated or upgraded or whatever bathrooms, remodeled, however you want to call it, the only ones that have been done recently are the ones right by the visitor center, which, I mean, that kind of sucks. These bathrooms really do need to be updated, and this is a really popular park, I would think, given how difficult it is to get a freaking reservation here during the camping season, you know? Well, let's go enjoy the view of the beach a little bit. No pride in work. He doesn't even tuck his shirt in. You know, when you have to wear a uniform, when you are working in uniform, you need to have pride in that uniform. Tuck your damn shirt in. Young people these days. What he thinks just because he works for the park service for the whole entire state of California, that he doesn't need to have pride in his work appearance? People are freaking lame. Okay, well, let's check 106. It's empty now. 106. This is another this is what you see is what you get. Lots of pits and valleys. Not that it's super duper visible from camera, I don't think. But, I mean, even this one spot that's clearly the tent pad, there are dips and stuff. I am totally curious if this trail right here goes anywhere. Let's find out. Let's see if it goes to anything. It goes to some kind of a clearing over here, and I don't see how anybody would be able to set up their tent there either. So this is it, and the picnic table has a problem too. So that was 106. I think that there might have been a couple more that they were still occupied even though it was the person's last day. the young man earlier, he heard me talking crap about the fact that he didn't have pride in his job. He tucked his shirt in. That is so funny. He tucked his shirt in because he heard me. He's got good ears, because I don't think I was talking super loud, but maybe I was. I don't know. I often find that I talk louder than what I intend to, just because when I was a kid, well, I was raised by a man that was extremely hard of hearing. You know? It is what it is. Because of him, I talk really freaking loud. Well, that was of the Agate Campground. It's pretty much the only campground that I've ever stayed at when I've camped here at Sumag State Park. It is my favorite campground here because all of the spots actually have 4G or 5G connection because the campground is so close to the little neighborhood nearby that has their own cell tower. So I really like to be able to have connection when I'm camping, just for my own safety generally, and also my mom is gonna be 74 this year, and I really don't want to worry her unnecessarily, you know. If she can reach me, then she does a lot better if she can reach me, you know. So I guess one of these days I'm going to have to, prior to my next road trip, I guess, I'll have to acquire one of those little Starlink Wi-Fi devices, just maybe the mini one or something. It's just, I don't know. I know that you can get data and calling and texting with those, but I don't know if I want to sign up for some kind of a monthly thing when I'd like to be able to just turn it on and turn it off after getting the device. That way I'm not using it all the time. I'll have to look into it and see if they have like any like a prepaid data or whatever, so you can buy a certain amount of data or something. I don't know, but even then that might be bad, because if I watch a YouTube video or something, that's a lot of data all at once. So I don't know, maybe if I could just have it on for a certain amount of time and then just be billed for everything that I use in that time. I don't know. I don't need it every month though, you know. I tend to only go camping like every other month or so. In any case, I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.